What's up guys? So, real quick video for you. I thought it'd be cool to show you why it is super important to vent your EPS surfboard. What I have here is a 3D printed surfboard vent testing tool. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to apply double-sided tape, some 3M stuff, the really grippy, very high bond stuff. I'm going to put it over the surfboard vent here, like that. Then what I have here is a balloon. I'm going to attach it to the top of the vent testing tool. And then I'm going to let the room come up to temperature. Right now I think in here it's about 3 degrees or so. And I'm going to try to bring it up to like room temperature. And we'll see how much this surfboard, well, quote unquote, breathes. So we'll give that a try with the balloon and see what happens. I'll put a time lapse on this and we'll come back. Alright, we'll come back in a couple hours and see what happens. Alright, so that pretty much ends the experiment for now. I might revisit this like on a hot summer's day, but I think for now this will give you guys an idea of why it's super important to vent your surfboard. So I raised the temperature from like, I think it was like 3 degrees or 5 degrees Celsius this morning. 3 degrees. I've raised it up to room temperature now, and I actually forgot to close off the vent on the other end, so I actually probably could have collected a bit more air. But as you can see, these gore-tex vents work really well, these auto vents. These ones I got from AliExpress. On the inside, there's a little tiny piece of gore-tex, and it's a semi-permeable membrane that allows the air to diffuse through it. So they work really well. Now, as you can see here, it collected quite a bit. That's a solid amount. My little 3D printed tool here worked really well. I might post this on Thingiverse, so if you guys want to experiment on your boards out of curiosity, you guys can try that as well. Okay, so what did we learn from this experiment? Well, number one, if you have EPS foam surfboards, make sure to vent them, because even though that's a tiny bit of air, I raised the temperature from like a fairly low temperature up to approximately room temperature. But if you leave this board out in the hot sun, this board will get hot. Even though it is like white, it won't get as hot as say a board that has like color like this blue here, or one of the other boards I have back there that might be a full solid color. When the sun hits it, it's going to heat up. The foam is going to heat up. The air that's trapped in the blowing agent of the foam is going to heat up. Because EPS foam is beaded foam and it has a bunch of air in it, because it's open cell, unlike XPS foam, which is closed cell, which you don't need to vent. EPS foam, super important to vent. That's the lesson to be taken from this video. I want to make a quick distinction. I did say that EPS foam was open cell. That's not true. It's actually closed cell as well, just like XPS foam. So EPS is expanded polystyrene, XPS is extruded polystyrene. And the distinction is the extruded polystyrene, the blue board or Pink Panther board, that stuff is extruded in all big sheets. Now that's closed cell, but it's also closed sheets, meaning there's no trapped air between each of the beads, although they're not really quite beads, whereas in expanded polystyrene, this stuff here, and that's what this board's made out of, are these individual beads, and those beads are closed cell, but when they take those little beads and then manufacture sheets out of it, air gets trapped between each one of those beads, Hence, the air is trapped within the sheet, not the cells. So it is a closed cell foam. So EPS foam, super important to vent. If there's one takeaway from this video, is to vent your boards, especially if your surfboard goes through any amount of temperature changes. Especially if you have like a chambered wooden board that like I have back there. Definitely if there's a big pocket of air, the more expansion given a change in temperature. You leave this in a hot car, which you shouldn't leave any board in a hot car, but I know sometimes that's not possible. You could have a possibility of delamination. Highly recommend vent. Put more than one in. I put 2 in my boards now because I've had an issue previously with delamination. But having said that, if you have foam that is dense above 2 pounds per cubic foot, you generally don't need to vent it it's not quite as important to vent, but you should still vent them. This foam that I got from Home Depot for this board is just cheap EPS foam, beaded foam that is about 1.5 pounds per cubic foot, so it's not very dense at all. Lots of trapped air in this, hence why I have 2 vents in this board. Yeah, super important to vent. And these are the plugs that I got from AliExpress. They're just really easy to install. I will have 3D printed templates to be able to install these as well that I'm going to eventually make a video on and post those files as well. Those will be coming soon. But you can see here, this is the gore-tex plug. So that's the plug that screws into these vents. And there's the semi-permeable membrane there. So very important. And you can get leash plugs that have a vent built into them as well. Okay, I think I'll end the video here. Enough rambling. I hope you learned something from this video. Post a comment down below if you've ever had any problems with delamination due to leaving your board out in the sun, hot car, changes in temperature from going from a cool garage outside into the sun, or you live in a climate that's fairly hot. Let me know what, I'd be very curious to hear your experiences with especially epoxy EPS foam boards. This wasn't as much of an issue with the old polyurethane boards. So yeah, so new technology comes new issues. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. So I let this cool back down, and now I'm just measuring the temperature. About 11 degrees Celsius or 53 Fahrenheit, and you can see that the air has now gone back into the foam. Pretty cool.